14th.
I get Karen, recording was spinning, so.
Oh, start again.
Yeah. we got it.
Okay.
That.
I call to order the regular meeting of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District, October 14th at 6:35. This is the regular meeting for the district. We have just concluded the special meeting on zoning. If you are here for that discussion, I'm afraid you will have to watch the recording when it is made available. This is the next regularly scheduled meeting. I will start with a roll call. I am Karen Morgan, present.
Martin Martinez present.
Roger Wendell present.
Bill Hardinger, president.
And we,
Dave Whitman is present on remote.
very good. We have a quorum. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
I wonder if I could add one thing.
Sure.
And it's not a hill I'm going to die on, but I'm wondering if it'd be worth considering the Pledge of Allegiance before each meeting in the future.
Sure.
Make that an agenda item.
Let's add that to Director's Matters, 7C. Will you make a motion, please?
I'm to
Move.
make it an agenda item.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I move that we make an agenda item to consider the Pledge of Allegiance in future meetings.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Director Hardinger. Any discussion? All in favor?
I vote yes.
Okay. All against? Director Martinez, are you voting?
I'm abstaining.
We need a yes or no vote on matters per the bylaws.
Just to add it.
This is to add it to the agenda. Okay. All right, so that is unanimous approval to add it to the agenda. Okay, thank you.
I just went to Independence Hall.
Okay, I'm gonna, sorry, cut you off. Do we have any public comments for the regular session? I will give you a minute to raise hands on the phone. Is there anything in person? Would you like to make a comment? You have been there, done that? Okay. Anybody, I don't see any hands raised online. If anybody would like to, going 1, 2, 3, and gone. Closing public comment. All right, next item of business is approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve all of these minutes before discussion?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Director Wendell. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second, Director Martinez. What kind of discussion?
Okay, I'm gonna try to be brief. There's quite a bit here, nothing earth shattering. We're considering 4 different sets of minutes, April, June, August, and September. And we can start off, I think I'll take each one as an individual topic in itself, and we'll start with the April 29th minutes. Not much to do there because we did not have a quorum, and that's accurately recorded in the minutes that were provided. My question is, when we don't have a quorum, so we don't hold the meeting in effect, is it appropriate to have minutes for that? Mr. Garner's nodding his head yes. Okay.
It's appropriate to record what occurred.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Go ahead.
Moving on.
I got a question. To the point of the fact that you identified that there isn't a quorum, is the recording to that point, or does it go on until the meeting's adjourned?
Well, I think it's helpful to have the minutes in this case because it reflects that there was no formal action taken throughout the meeting. So it's just discussion by 2 board members. In the absence of the minutes, there's the possibility that someone could believe that formal action had occurred during what was not a meeting. So I think in this case, it's better to have a record of the entire event, even though it wasn't a board meeting, technically.
Is that legal? Is that a legal opinion?
That is my opinion as the attorney for the board, yes.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. I did take some time to speak with our note taker. I've had concerns about the consistency of the note taking. Actually, it's been relatively consistent. I think some of the confusion is in how we conduct our meetings and what transpires. And I think the note takers, and there's a couple of them, one was on vacation, somebody filled in for somebody else, I don't recall their names. But they kind of lose the rhythm of what we're doing in the meetings. And just to be very brief, at times they mention directors' names either by last name or first name. They mention guests either by last name, first name, or both. And I'm just wondering, do we want a relative policy, a general policy that says just identify everybody by their full name? Does that sound reasonable? Is that something to consider? Because I'm looking through these April agenda notes here, meeting notes. And at times they list a full name and other times they list just the last name or the first name. I would like to see that to be more consistent. Again, I'm not picking up the note takers, they're doing a pretty good job. I just don't think it's clear to them how the flow is going.
I do not generally ask for everybody's names. That is upon me. I will try and do better about that in future, so they can make a note.
And then there's a couple of grammatical and mechanical errors in the notes. They repeat themselves a few times by accident, probably hitting the copy paste button or something in the computer, but I'll take care of that. Those kinds of things with Josh. One thing that did pop out that seemed significant is there was discussion during the June meeting about the Responsible Water Now website. It's something that I brought up. I had concerns. Director, two of our directors, of course, or three of them actually, were associated with that website. And I questioned, how they were meeting. Were they meeting publicly to come up with some of the decisions for things that were posted on the website? I was going to let a sleeping dog lie and not bring it up in this meeting. But if you go through the minutes further, for the June session, we have people from the public that had comment on Responsible Water Now. So what I'm getting at here is my comments, my questions about Responsible Water Now were only listed in the minutes really vaguely and in general. Yet when one of the members of the public questioned it, it was recorded in more detail in the minutes. So what I would like to do, and it'll depend on a vote here this evening, is I'll go back with the minute taker and have them add more detail to my comments about Responsible Water Now, only because they added detail to what one of the citizens had said during the public portion of our meeting. So now that I've confused everybody, I'll move on. Something to think about.
I understand.
So are you saying that you were underquoted or underrepresented in terms of your verbiage relating to that?
Yeah, it's real vague. You can't tell from the minutes what actually transpired or what I was asking. But then again, it was brought up by the public.
Did you go back and review the tape and verify what you said?
Not at all, because I recall what I said.
In my opinion, I think you may want to go back and review and make sure that what you recall is accurate before we assume that present something to them to update it. I don't want anything taken out of contents from that day that you may not have said that you think you said.
Well, I can ask the note taker just to record exactly what I said.
Okay,
That's
fine.
easy.
Okay, that's fine, as long as it's exactly what you said, nothing additional you added.
All right.
Because you seem to be in contact with them and I don't want to misrepresent what you stated, definitely, whatever.
I can assure you they're very impartial. I've only been secretary, for maybe 3 months now.
Because the fact that you are in that position, it does, in my mind, land to be, something, since you are in conversation with them, that let me finish. You may, say, well, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. Please put what I meant.
Okay, we're veering off topic. So I let you finish, but we gotta stay on topic or else I'll be interrupting. I appreciate you bringing the topics to the attention and handling your role as secretary. This is exactly your job. Do you have anything else?
No, I'd just like to add though, that if anybody else feels they were misrepresented in the minutes, let me know. I will talk to the people taking notes. But I want to reiterate that the people taking the notes are doing a very good job. I think what's happening is we are confusing them through our various discussion. And unfortunately, there's been some very heated discussion during these meetings, even yelling at times. And I'm sure, it distracts them from their duties.
Yes.
So I'll work more closely with them, but in a nutshell, going on with the remaining 2 sections of minutes, everything in my estimation is in good order. So those are my only concerns this time around.
Okay. So I am unclear. I did rush you into making a motion. Are you suggesting that we approve all of them, or you are going to be working on them? And we will approve it later.
I suggest that we approve all of them with the understanding that I will ask the note
For those
taker
things that you
for
did.
the exact wording during that discussion with Director Martinez.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. I will agree to that.
How can we approve something that's going to be potentially amended? Therefore, I think we probably need to table that approval, at least to those minutes you are potentially looking to update. That's kind of putting the cart before the horse, in my opinion. So therefore, I think if we need to approve all the minutes, we need to only approve those minutes that are not subject to any kind of update by you.
Okay, no, that makes perfect sense to me. So I would suggest then that we approve April 29th, August 26th, and September 9th, and consider June 10th at our next regular meeting.
If that is your recommendation, that is fine with me. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? And Director Wickman, how do you vote?
Negative.
So that passes, I'm sorry, you're not watching. There was 4 hands raised, so that was 4 in favor and Director Wickman opposed. I will do better. I apologize, Director Wickman. Okay, on to financial matters. First, we will consider the daily and monthly operating expenses. I will not jump the gun. The treasurer have anything to say or just make a motion to approve? The expenses and the unaudited financial and investment reports. Move to approve by Director Hardinger. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second, Director Martinez. Any discussion?
Yes. And again, I'll try to read just questions, not trying to put anybody on the spot, but maybe make it clear as to what's transpiring here in the district. And my first question is, it might go to either Doug or Josh, what is VSAAS back in October?
VSAAS?
Yes.
That's a service that we use for our SCADA, for our tanks, pump stations, all of our filling information, all the data we collect throughout the distribution system. We have a service agreement with Brown's Hill Engineering. They'll come out, do work if necessary, but it's a monthly service fee.
Okay. And again, this is kind of a general question going on to the next page of the financials. It appears as though the district is paying for dental insurance. And I know we've had a discussion related to this in the past, but not specifically. It looks like we're paying a significant amount for dental insurance, also life insurance and LTD, I don't know what that is, and vision insurance. I'm just wondering out loud, and we're talking about a total here of about $38,000. I'm wondering if that's customary for a government entity to be providing that kind of benefit to its employees. I base it on my own career. I've worked for state government, city government, and federal government throughout my career. And any dental insurance, vision insurance, and those kinds of things were usually paid by the employee.
Yes.
So do we have any thoughts or feelings about that?
The dental and vision, I believe, is 100% employee. Or the dental's
Employer,
employer.
vision is 100% employee,
Yeah.
the LTD is long-term disability, which is 100% employer.
Yes.
We just had a meeting last month, and this was a large topic with all the district managers at attend this meeting, and a lot of them are paying 100%. And they're paying deductibles as well, as a means to retain staff, so.
And I like the idea of being competitive to retain staff, and I apologize, I'm just not familiar with those kind of benefits at this level. As a former federal employee, I had to pay for those kinds of things, but if everybody's comfortable with that, we can move on.
This is a long-standing back and forth, and we constantly hear that everybody else in the world pays 100%, which is not true for the people who generally sit on the board. And so we go back and forth every year about it. So however, if you would like to ever bring this forward with a motion as to how you would like to change things, I suggest a little bit of time and research and a thorough proposal that we can discuss, because it is a contentious issue that everybody has ideas about.
You know what, I will look into it further and maybe bring it forward as a motion in a month or two, just to consider it.
That would be great. Thank you.
Moving on again, not to usurp the treasurer's authority here, but I have a question about Ogborn. I thought we were through with them. Of course, we're only talking about $59, but how much further are we working with Ogborn and Associates? I thought that was over.
I did too, yeah, I
I
didn't
think
catch
it's like
that.
a filing fee, they
Okay,
just sent forward.
okay. And you know, $59, but I was surprised to see them appear in the financials again. Drug screening, is that for new employees?
For either new employees or the random DOTs that are done on a quarterly basis.
Of the random what?
Random Department of Transportation,
Oh,
anybody that holds a CDL gets they send a certain amount of random tests for employees that hold those certificates here.
okay, that makes sense. I can read my own notes here. So under para, moving further on down the financials, employee paid contributions, we show $791. Is that taken from the employee's pay or are we paying it? I don't quite understand it in the spreadsheet.
So we have a 401k plan, we have a 457 plan, those are both paid by employees only. The 401A, which is the pension plan, is shared with employer and employee.
So the $791 is what we
Or,
pay,
no, that one's a 401k for employee only,
but
but that's
the
what they pay.
employee paid. So why does it show up on our spreadsheet in this form? It appears as though we're paying it. Is
Because
that
we,
customary?
yes, we collect it from their checks
Okay,
and then we send them para the money, the whole lump sum of all of those plans. But it goes like that.
What page you on?
We're up to 22 now.
And see a note.
Of the board packet, not the budget.
yeah, that's, but it appears when I look here, it looks like we paid it.
That's the budget, so the
Yeah,
board.
it's something we need to, the two para, but it comes from
From the employees, okay.
it's a deduction in employees. Payroll.
And then I know we've discussed this in the past, Aflac, not much, $100, but what's that about?
That's supplemental insurance completely funded by the employees.
So they're
We
paying.
collect it from their checks and then pay after.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on down, Excel Energy, $20,000 for 1 month. Is that because of all the pump stations, the operations here at the office? Are there other things related to that I'm not familiar with?
It's everything combined. So.
What is
anything that we
everything?
use- Anything that uses electricity,
Okay,
we get a master bill and it's all compiled in that. So pump stations, obviously in the summer, they're gonna be working harder.
okay, and 20,000 roughly is customary,
In the summer, yes.
okay?
In the winter, no.
And I know we talked about this before, but I've forgotten, SunShare, $10,000.
Yeah, that's pretty customary. So that's the solar garden that we pay into. We pay into that. We get Excel credits back, so our Excel bill is less. So if we were not involved in SunShare or the Greenbacker, then our Excel bill will be much higher.
Okay. And Doug, in your professional experience, moving on further on down, in your professional experience, would it be customary in a spreadsheet like for office expenses on air travel to list who that was? Or is it customary just to say United Airlines, $600?
So we used to list names and everything, we were told not to,
Okay,
just for privacy reasons, whatnot. We can certainly,
well, no, if it's customary, I was just wondering why,
yeah,
but okay,
it was, an employee here that went to a conference,
fair enough.
so.
If we wanna maintain privacy, I'm comfortable with that.
It can be requested if needed.
Yeah. Okay, we do keep records on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Update. From that.
okay. And Jess has addressed this in the past, but I've forgotten his answer, onepassword.com.
That is a secure password vault that we use for passwords used by the district. There's a lot of security protocol involved in there, so there's end-to-end encryption, there's multi-factor authentication. It's a very valuable tool to keep the district utilized logins secure.
Okay, I appreciate that. And next up, waste management, $600 for 1 month. Is that for everything? Is that for a roll-off, a dumpster?
Yep, that's for the dumpster and the recycle dumpster here at the office, they do weekly pickups. We also have the other one, it's, I think, $260. That's for our P2 site, down at Zinnia. That's for a dumpster pickup twice a month.
Okay. And last but not least, my favorite, City of Lakewood. You're charging us $52 for permits. Is that customary? Or are we getting a nonprofit rate? How does that fit in with what they do?
I'll defer to Josh on that.
It's like 5280. I think the fee, yeah, that is, yeah, that's it's a street cut permit. Anytime we do any sort of roadway work, replace a valve, replace a fire hydrant, we have a right of way fee, $52. That's extremely low, and we've been notified that fee is more than likely gonna increase, so.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, that's all the questions I have. I'm comfortable with everything that was described here. It's the end of my discussion.
Good, thank you. Anybody else have discussion? Director Wickman, do you have discussion?
No, okay.
Okay, then all in favor of approval of the expenses and the reports, say aye. I see 4 hands raised here. Director Wickman,
This is just for the financial report, not the minutes or anything like that.
just the financials.
Yes, I vote aye.
Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to the presentation of the draft budget. Would you like to join us up here? Are you? Okay. Yes, we can. Actually, no, we may not be able to hear you back there. Would you mind joining us so that the mic can pick you up? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so for the 2026 draft budget, the first thing, and most important always, is the Denver water increase. They're proposing a 4.33% or 22 cents per thousand gallons on the volumetric charge. And also a 11% or to the district, because we have 6 master meters, of $1,400 increase to our service fee. That increase would, as everything stands right now, would make the average increase on our water rates 2.26% per tier. Sewer treatment, we did see a large decrease, which isn't uncommon. They do kind of ebb and flow with their annual charges, depending on.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you think you could bring up this memo online so that everybody else can be reading it?
Sure. That's the synopsis.
I was getting it myself and that was
No
not
problem.
public friendly. Okay, you can go ahead and talk. I just.
Okay, yeah, so as far as metro water recovery, depends on how much flows, what the loadings are, what. Each basin's doing, and also their rate increases per year. It can go up, it can go down, and we do kind of see that peaks and valleys. every year. This year it was a good valley, so it was a 20% decrease, which would create a surplus in sewer revenue without changing rates. So that's what's presented in the draft budget.
Is the correct document?
No. The synopsis. Yeah, go into the 2026 folder, or yeah, that one. Synopsis. Next would be. Yep, so that was that part. For employee costs, 3.42% increase compared budget to budget. For employee salary, taxes, and benefits. That was the expected average, raise from the AWWA data. It also does include medical and dental premium increases. And as we know, district pays 80% of premiums, while employees pay 20%. So all that's included in that 3.42%. Legal expenses are projected to be $525,000. We budgeted $500,000 this year, so not a big change there. Contract labor shows an increase for asphalt patching. We have seen rising costs with the larger repairs on the breaks that do more damage. Those increases have shown to be quite significant. So we're just kind of preparing for that. We're not going absolutely extreme, but definitely want to include an increase on that. Increase the traffic control. We have a higher volume of projects. And we're using traffic control more frequently. This was a kind of the first year we really used them.
Anybody want to sign anything before I leave? Okay, so, okay.
I'm sorry.
So higher volume of projects needing traffic control and using traffic control.
Can I interrupt for a second? There's some things going on. Was that somebody leaving? What?
We had a member of the public come in, checking us out again. Sorry for the interruption.
Karen, do you want paper?
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Also included contracted labor is the server work. So we're going to be doing penetration testing on the SCADA system for security reasons. So that shows that increase. Repair and maintenance also shows an increase for rising costs, obviously, but more replacements of hydrants and valves throughout the district and I'd say more of a scheduled replacement program going on. Office expense shows decrease. Don't have an election this year, so that's a large decrease to that expense item. Engineering, we do have a large increase to that due to the new water and wastewater master plans that will be completed, and we're doing that in phases, correct?
Yeah, we're proposing a new water master plan, wastewater master plan, and a rate study as all three tie together. For what our new potential tap fees and system development fees would be. Also needed for modeling reasons with the zoning changes.
So that is presented. Service fee, because of all those increases, would need to go up to $22.60 a month. It's currently at $19.65. Denver Water is, just for a frame of reference, they're increasing their service fee for single family to $20.91 per month. So we're not terribly off of it, even with all of those.
And with a much smaller customer.
Right, and as far as the water master and wastewater plan, that wouldn't be an annual thing. So next year we wouldn't be seeing that. Interest revenue, obviously with the Fed doing what they're doing, they were expected to be decreasing rates all year. They didn't, they only did it in September. So we set it conservatively at 3.25 for the year. And that's kind of what they expected it to be at by the end of 2026.
Okay, what monies are that the district has that are affected by this, that I know we have some investments that are at a certain rate, those are not affected by any rate changes the Fed may impose, but what monies does the district have that would be affected?
So we have 3 million locked up until the end of 2026, or I believe the beginning of 2027 is when those will come up. So that's about 3 million. The rest is in the pools and they kind of follow the rates.
So that's cash on hand type stuff?
It is, so we can get that within a day,
Right,
2 days max
okay,
for the majority of the money. The rest is in our operating account, which is not at that rate. It's much lower just because they have to
and
collateralize
how much
everything.
how much is that money?
In operating,
Yeah,
about 4.5, but it goes up and down depending on, you know,
right,
expenses. Like we have a high summer bill from Denver Water, we gotta pay them 1.5 million, you know. That will drop. The rest of it, according to the report, I think we're at 31 million plus. Thank you. So yeah. Out of 20 emails, so probably about 24 million goes with the Fed rate. 3 million sticks with what we have fixed for end of 2026, beginning of 2027, and the operating account is about 4 million. That depends on what we're doing.
so we have 20-some million that fluctuates with the
It goes with the rates.
with the
Yeah,
rate.
and 4 years ago, we were at a very low rate. Our prior treasurer was not happy with that. But there's really nothing we can do. We gotta put our money where it's safe.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, budget here, so for capital. We had business cases provided for all of the capital. Equipment and vehicles and whatnot presented, included in that was field equipment. We had 2 GPS units. Sam, I don't know if you wanna elaborate on that?
Essentially, it's for 2 handheld units with a receiver, radio receiver. We're shifting to our inspectors completing the on-site GPSing of in-ground infrastructure as it's being put in. This is to get each of them a unit that works in parity so that our training and procedures is unified between those 2 units rather than having a disparity between that training.
And in office, we had contingency for any kind of potential server emergency replacement. We have a potential upgraded SCADA system. Just depending on if we're gonna stick with our VSAS, it runs up in August. And exploring ideas of, do we stay with who we are with right now? Do we transition, what that looks like? So we just wanted to have a number in there for potential changes. And also replacement of office furniture, and there's a business case in the budget for that. So vehicles, the TA80 dump truck. Recent years, we have had a lot of repairs on it. They seemed minor, however, they cost a lot. It is a 2008, so the truck's old, starting to get high miles. We're seeing those repairs come in, they're expensive. It's in the budget, it would seem high for a normal car, however.
Part of the problem is the emission regulation that diesels are subject to. As a district class B vehicle, it doesn't get driven on the highway like a normal truck of that class would, so premature maintenance issues arise from that. resulting in costly repairs. Anytime you work on like the diesel fuel system or the exhaust system, the costs are crazy.
I think the truck isn't.
It's a T800 Kenworth, so it's a dump truck, so it's a large dual axle, 26,000 GVW vehicle.
But no, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. The expenses on that were 50,000 plus, just to repair what he's talking about, that system,
50 grand.
right?
And as the technology evolves, so does the performance of the vehicle. So you're not subject to some of those repairs that they fix in future models.
Right, so if you get a new one, it's gonna be less expensive to repair that if it goes out. However, that truck is a 2008 and we just started repairing it. But the costs were high. So that one's in there, the towable light tower, that is for safety on brakes. At nighttime, after hours. It's towable. The lights we have now, you have to pull out of the trailer. Set them up, plug them into the generator. And get them going. This one would just basically be a
Just take the issue.
standalone, yeah.
Housekeeping issue, you have small light towers sitting on the edge of the ditch, they become a hazard. This will give us telescoping tower where you can broadcast down on the dig site with much more.
And attached to the truck.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They attach to the truck.
right, still hitched on. And the snowplow was the last one on the vehicles, with the new parking lot, snowplow is much more viable than using a backhoe to plow. Kind of wears and tears on it.
Much
Plus-
more accessible for all of our remote sites as well, a lot of long driveways to get to our pump station, so we wanna make sure those roads are clear. Right now, wheeling a backhoe from A to B, that's a long process.
So you're talking about plowing this area here
This area,
and then the driveways to our remote
our
sites.
remote sites, our other vehicle storage garage, there's a large driveway there as well.
I didn't know the price of the snow. What's the price of the snow?
On the capital.
We show 11,000, it's about. I think our last quote we just got was about $9,500, so.
Yeah, we put 11 in.
Is that an attachment?
Yep.
To the dump truck?
It's
Yeah.
attachment to a pickup truck.
Okay.
Pickup truck. That way we don't have to use a large.
Nothing in this industry is cheap. But. I will say that.
This will go on the truck?
They'll go on one of the trucks, yeah.
Yeah. Like the guys you see that go around and do all the parking lots throughout the church, same concept, but.
Okay.
Next would be the carryover. The only thing we had was the ravine sewer. Obviously, that's up in the air. New, what we presented in the budget was replacing 13,270 linear feet of water mains. And rehabbing 6,250 feet of sewer mains. And also rehabilitation of the pink tank.
Yeah, so we have an above ground steel tank over off of Zinnia and Alkire, that's due for. Recoating, so they're gonna paint. The inside, paint the outside, any sort of steel work that needs to be done as a result of 20 years of. Exposure to water.
We didn't present any change to the IRF, noted in 2025. The bids for capital projects came in at 48.8% of what was budgeted last year. So we didn't feel there was a need to present that this year. That's just in the proposed budget. All that included the rates, the average residential winter bill would see an increase of $7.25 per billing, or 4.22%. That includes the water and service fee. The average summer bill would see an increase of $10.82 per billing, and that's a 3.25% increase. And also presented in this as attachments we're scenario A and B. Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, sorry. So scenario A, we kind of built it based off what revenue would be projected, from increasing the IRF fee, $5, and what footage we can get from doing that additional increase. So scenario A shows no increase to the IRF, but doing the replacements at that rate.
Scenario A.
Can you get a minute?
It's
You can go in the budget folder.
yeah.
Would you be making a recommendation on any of the scenarios, or is that up to us?
But
Yeah,
Um.
Just a
before-
recommendation.
Before we get into the scenarios, can I ask some questions about all the stuff that you
Yes.
just were doing?
Absolutely.
I let you talk, but I was.
Good.
Well, I guess, yeah, let me just ask questions. Because there's a lot of things in there. On the, I don't know where to start, on the GPS. Sam, I was unclear. Were you saying that the new units, so that? Was somebody here using them? Those are alternatives to hire somebody or to have Denver Water do it?
So there's
Who is gonna be using?
our on-site engineer or inspectors.
Whose staff is that? Is that
Our
us?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, do we have people with availability? And, okay,
Currently, they're sharing one,
okay,
but with the increased pipe that we're replacing, it's becoming very
okay,
difficult to swap back and forth. There's two different job folders.
okay,
And with the modeling, not sorry, modeling, but the master plans that are proposed.
Yeah.
That tool will also save us a bunch of money by doing in-house surveying on certain assets.
okay.
So,
I believe you, I
Yeah.
just, it sounded like
Well, that's
an
just
impersonal contractor, so I was confused because it was twice.
that was just the justification.
Yes, I got, yeah, well, I do like the justifications, because then I hear what you're doing. Do we have any idea when the last time the SCADA was upgraded, changed?
Well, the VSAS contract was a 5-year contract. We're coming up on it in August 26th. At that point, I believe Brownsville took over all radio control at that point. Which meant if the radio went down, they'd upgrade it.
Okay,
Other than that, it would have been pump station upgrades, and those haven't been. That's been a while, I wanna say, 2016, 17 for pump stations, but they redid everything, PLCs and stuff. But in the meantime, there have been
incremental. things.
incremental things that.
It seems like I had this conversation before, but maybe that is because I've been here for 5 years and it's been that long.
No, but because the whole SCADA system as a whole has not been upgraded. At one time.
We
Well,
have,
yeah, and. Okay, but that's what you're talking about, all those different pieces? 'Cause
No,
that's-
so
you're-
what we're talking about as far as the SCADA upgrade, it would be us taking over all the equipment.
Okay,
And we'd still have a different company that would jump in if I'm.
No, you're on the market, so, it's looking at going to a different model, instead of that having that data hosted at our remote server run by our software. Looking at bringing that hardware and software on site and managing it that way. Instead of a remote host.
But we'd have to purchase the equipment.
okay, but now that you say that, I thought that was something that we did on purpose, was to put it off-site because we weren't feeling secure. Are we
Yes,
feeling
but
secure?
as we are going through our security audit,
Yeah,
there are policies that Green Mountain wants to implement for data protection that we're having trouble getting buy-in from our service provider.
because
So,
they're not on site and we don't have control.
correct, well,
Essentially, it's their infrastructure. That we're running on, so it's their purview what security measures are in place. and what security measures can be tested for. If we absorb that, we have full control over the entire security environment.
What happened to that, and I don't remember, we did get a secure facility that was a room, right, for servers at some point, so is that part of this? This is where it's gonna,
It's just gonna be Green Mountain will own all the equipment again.
Okay.
And we'll have control of our data.
Okay.
And be able to implement the security measures that we see fit.
okay,
Right now, as it stands, they're not up to our standard.
okay, so it's just been going back and forth a little
Yeah.
bit, all right, thank you. Furniture,
Question along those lines. Back when you first determined that you wanted to go offsite with this, was that security just not a concern with it?
At that time, there wasn't really the standard set. So we've gone from, we switched our platform completely from Iconics to who we use now. And the engineering team that we're using had kind of a turnkey solution that was, we will manage all of the equipment, be on call for you, and you have access to logging and control of your data from that aspect. But as we're going through our security audit, there's policies that we would like to see come online for our data that aren't being met at this time.
So was it a cost saving issue at the time?
I think at the time that they made the switch, they were not gonna offer the type of service that we had anymore. Is that correct, Josh?
The Iconics,
You know, Iconics, they were only managing that through their hosted environment. They weren't offering that Iconics upgrade for on-site hardware.
So it was a cost saving issue at the time.
it was a cost saving issue at the time because we had implemented this new technology as well, these radios. So there was a lot of not gonna say a lot of downtime, but there was a more downtime than we'd like to see with the way the network is communicating. So this way saved us money on service calls, things like that. Anytime a radio struck by lightning, switch, whatever, they would come out and just swap it. But as we evolve through this process, we feel it's in the district's best interest to potentially bring all that back in-house 100% unless they can meet our security.
Are we gonna have an increase in staffing because of this, bringing it in-house?
No. We would have a separate consultant, engineering consultant be available to them if we needed assistance with any sort of coding or anything like that. So we don't have that. So it'd be, now that we've had it dialed in, our uptime with our radius network has been like 99.9%. So it's very solid and we're very confident with that. It's just the security protocols that are gonna be coming down the line from the IT security audit that we're having done right now.
Okay, so we wanna see sometime down the future, well, we wanna save costs, but we throw it back out the door and get it to somebody else down the road.
I don't see that as a change coming in, now that we've been in this environment that we're currently in. It's just a matter of, is it contracted services or is it only when we need help? That's the way it's gonna
You
be.
see in the industry that that's the case nowadays, and people are bringing all their data back in your doors.
We're seeing a lot of things changing over to a service, like, our online mapping is now more of a online service than you having physical, application installed on network equipment.
Okay.
Our billing system is, I think that's the direction they're eventually moving to, where it's a service, it's not a,
You don't purchase it up front and then.
Yeah.
Pay annual fees, you just pay annual fees.
Yeah.
Be on their online servers.
This situation is a little more unique because it's our environment, it's our data.
How much data do we have?
In what sense?
And what's our total size of our data set?
What we're talking about from the SCADA system? Is
All data, I mean, there was,
I don't think I can give you a number or on that.
we're looking at terabytes, multiple terabytes, is that what we're dealing with?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, you can get a, stick terabytes nowadays. Data storage is now.
Yeah, that part of it, well, like with SCADA, it's working data, it's trending data, it's data that's being backed up. Reports are generated, so it's a little bit, at least from the SCADA aspect, it's a little.
So all our data is
A little bit
offsite,
dynamic.
right? I understand. So all our data is being stored offsite,
It's being stored locally, but also,
not here though, but offsite.
yes,
Right, okay, so that's all part of disaster recovery plan that you're all having, like.
Yep.
Right, okay, and then you want to bring that all back in here? Indoors,
well, we wanna bring it back here in our own cloud.
in physically here,
Physically here and in our own cloud environment, yes.
yes, okay. So then you're gonna need to then back that up, store it offsite,
Correct.
right? So you have a service like Iron Mountain to do that for you, right?
I'm not sure who Jesse's communicating with on that, but that end of it, it's not. The SCADA end of it's not terabyte after terabyte, it's
Okay,
much
sort
smaller.
of a backup,
Yeah.
right? I've managed multiple.
Oh, yeah,
Daily
absolutely.
centers in my day. I've had huge backup tape drives
Yeah,
that we used to store at Iron Mountain and had picked up on a daily basis and running backups. So I'm not sure how it all runs these days. I know all this stuff moved over to offsite storage, which I thought was just a garbage because you lose control, physical control of your data. Opinion. But so now if we bring it all inside, you're gonna have that taped or some kind of backup facility in order to store on site in order to comply with disaster recovery.
correct. Yeah, it's like a NAS system, storing the backups, but it's also stored in the cloud within, I think, the Azure, Microsoft platform. So we have physical and secondary backup.
One of the primary features of having it outside is that this is a burning hole, your data is someplace else. I mean, I've written backup policies and procedures and disaster recovery policies and procedures, and that's part of what we call a burning hole. This building burns down, your data can't be here, it's gotta be secured someplace on a daily basis. Versus in full and incremental backups of the data. So you're gonna have to have that all, that's all part of this whole scenario you guys are putting in place, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a whole plan that they have been developed.
Looks like Zoom just restarted.
Okay, so everybody will have their own space.
Right now, you know, somebody's sitting at a table with a chair, they don't have any way for their own record keeping, their own personal effects, things like that. This will give everybody their little workspace. And just kind of modernize the office a little bit. Just, you know, and
What is the hybrid workforce policy in effect right now? What are we doing? We're all back from COVID and everybody's in the office?
Yeah.
Is that always?
95% of the time, there's cases where somebody's kid's sick that. Because these are only for people who have the ability,
Yeah.
unfortunately, to work remotely, but if they're, you know. Working on a computer,
Okay.
not doing, you can't obviously do field work remotely, but so it's. We're here 5 days a week.
How is at one point we were looking at, is there enough office space? Do we have enough office space?
No.
Tables, what does that mean? Are we sharing the spaces over there? You say, but this is to get everybody a space, so
Right.
that's why,
Yeah.
how are you doing that?
So the guy in the back room there,
Yeah.
Phil and I sat back there, there's probably like 6 people that sit at that table.
Okay,
So,
What we're gonna do is that table will be replaced for a new collaborative table for training, but then it's creating just like a little cubicle space for all 16 field staff.
Hmm.
So everybody will, it's just streamlining the furniture, modernizing a little bit, getting rid of a bunch of junk so we don't have so much clutter in this office.
okay, thank you. Okay, bigger questions. Before we go into the scenarios, because first tell me, how did you set the target for the 2026 IRP levels? Are you doing a dollar amount, a linear foot, how are you figuring this? Percentage? We talked about all of those.
Yeah, it was like pretty well based on income coming in, what we want to keep in reserves and what we have available to spend out.
Okay. So. That's not where I wanted to see it go. I would like to see us have a target for what needs to be done. And then we look at what we need to do to get that done. So.
Well,
That-
let me
so-
rephrase it a little bit. Ideally, our target was. At the time when it was being, I think this was last year, we were trying to target about 1% of total pipe or. Whatever that number turned into for what's needing to be replaced, and we. Kind of moved that field goal a little bit, we're trying to hit about 3.5 to 4% of. Whatever pipe is due for replacement. And that's right about where we're at for this year.
Okay.
And that doesn't draw reserves down, it doesn't. Put us in like financial pinch, it's based on income.
Right. My concern is that I understand that that the income is a concern, but that's why we raise the rates. I am concerned about getting these projects done, and a 3% fixed rate means we're looking at 30 years to get the first decade's worth of stuff done, and I was hoping that we would have a 10-year plan rather than a 30-year plan. So how does that, on a 10-year plan or 15-year plan, but something more aggressive than a 30-year plan, because we have more rotating in? Have you looked at that at all? Or have any idea how much percent we are off in here? So, I mean, it sounds like that's gonna be a lot off. Is
So
what I'm
part
hearing.
of the balance too is balancing how much we're gonna be able to get engineered and inspected with the staff that we have. If right now we're running 2 inspectors who are basically running the entire construction season end to end on projects. At the point where we expand beyond that, we'd have to bring in a 3rd inspector and it's gonna grow out with ways. So there's a lot of considerations within that, staffing wise.
Okay,
This puts us at, the scenario B puts us at 2% of total pipe replacement, water replacement. Which industry-wide is a pretty aggressive pipe replacement plan. And is kind of the point that we feel like we can reach with current staffing. In a construction season, once we push beyond that point, staffing is gonna need to increase.
okay,
Well, and another factor is what we're able to cut into. Streetlight is the city. They have a lot of. New roads, there aren't a lot of any sort of street cutting except for emergency purposes only. So, and their. Rehabilitation standards on those are a lot different, so that would really increase the amount of. Asphalt we have to replace rather than pipe that we can lay, so. Several factors kind of went into this approach.
Right, as well as the bids. This was a pretty great year for bids. I haven't really seen that, but the bigger the project, the more bids you get, which you see that wide range, so.
well, that was good news, so. It may be. Would it be possible to add, so this is scenario B, which we'll get into that later. For the bid right now, my question is. Explain to me how. Which may be a difficult question, but if we have that budgeted and the bids came in less, then that means that the. Fee. Is paying for more than. We need,
Correct.
but my bottom line revenue was looking like we didn't have that much left over.
Not for projected.
So why is that?
In the
Where's that
projected
discrepancy?
one, we show our reserves going up quite a bit. Projected for 2025. 2026 draft, we're trying to budget bare bones. Meaning no loss, no gain.
Okay, wait, say
You
that
wanna pull
again,
that up? So for 2025 projected,
we would have a certain,
because our bids came in this low,
yes,
we're gonna have a big surplus. Just do the
But we also can't rely on
summary.
the bids coming in low.
Right, that's the
That's the
thing,
hard
you don't know what they're gonna do, but
Cause we.
for the 26 bids for next year.
for
That's what
26,
you're-
we bid
You
conservative. We budgeted conservatively.
Okay,
I mean, the numbers were anywhere from, I think, like 700,000 to $3 million, so that's a pretty large swing.
Just a smidge.
And we don't have to accept any sort of a bid, but.
I'm just missing something.
Scroll up. See him? Just want to catch the header. I know where I'm at here, all the way. Oh. 2025 budget projected. That's what we budgeted. We're bringing in 5 million. Next year, we're not moving. Is essentially what I was just trying to explain. Because our bids came in so low, we had that increased fee. Next year, if we don't increase the fee, continue with what is presented in the budget, we just,
Well, I guess that's, if we had the bids come in so low, then we should have a surplus,
we do, so.
but you're saying
Going
next
from- This
year,
was our budget from
Right.
last year, so that was.
it's
being-
25,
Right, this is 25 budget, that's what we projected,
okay,
that's what we budgeted for, but because our bids came in so low. Our fee increased our bottom line. By that
Okay.
much.
so maybe I'm just off a year, but I'm not understanding how that's impacting next year, that was this
That was. that's
2025
current
now,
year, right
right.
now, because our budget came in at 48% of capital,
right,
we increased our reserves by that much.
okay,
And next
that
year,
makes
we're
sense,
planning on just
Okay.
this, and we're going to.
okay, you're
If the
planning on
budget-
the
yeah.
new bids coming in.
If the bids come in at
like that.
100%,
Okay,
yes.
all right, I see, that's where I'm missing it.
In the past, have we discussed a desired reserve level? Did we ever come up with a number? Was it 35? I don't remember.
we've discussed it and haven't said it per se.
It's not set, so
Yes.
this is as good as any number.
Yes.
Okay.
But if I could go back to that. Um. Okay. So I guess the question is, you are assuming that the bids will come in under for next year? Not under, for what they did this year.
No, higher.
We increased footage based on
You, that's, I
the
guess,
price per foot.
okay, so you were doing more, so we're not letting that fee go to waste, you're
No.
using it,
We
that's where I'm
added about
going.
4,000 a year.
Right, but
Yeah,
we're not budgeting to spend the capital that was received in 2025 on 2026 projects.
we're just going year. Great year.
Okay. Okay. That's good, but you're still using the money that you would receive in 25 to do more based off of some guesswork as to how the bids are going.
No, if we did that, then we would be decreasing reserves. What we've presented is basically not moving reserves. It's $41,000 difference between 2025 and 2026 from what's presented. If we wanted to do more pipe, then we could use the money that was absorbed in 2025. So just add footage.
But it would show that we're operating at a loss because we're utilizing money from 2025 for 2026 projects. So the budget number would come in at a loss.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
So
and that's scenario B.
that was scenario A, no increase to IRF.
Okay. But
Scenario
still-
B is raising the
okay.
IRF.
All right, I will follow, I'm still missing something in there, I will follow up with you about that later. Okay, so will you, okay, then the last. I'm sorry, one moment if I can make a note. The last thing that I know. No, I have a couple things, but, the big one that you're all gonna wanna shoot me for is, I see the employee salary raise. So did we get the raise from the discussion about the merit increases and all of that was implemented this year? Was there like a mid-year bump?
There were for a couple of employees, with certification changes in job.
Just for the couple of employees? You didn't do the across the board
No.
once? Okay. For some reason, I was thinking that was happening, so that's,
And what we're presenting here is tailored to the resolution that we.
okay. I guess I thought we did that then for everybody plus the couples, and so it was feeling double.
Right,
Okay,
it
but
was,
now
uh,
you're just
people-
doing it
Some
now.
people were already right in their range, so
Okay,
it wasn't necessary.
okay, thank you. Okay, so can we talk about the scenarios then?
Absolutely.
If that's okay, if everybody else is caught up with questions, I'm sorry, I had a lot.
Yeah, so the only difference between the draft budget and scenario A. Is scenario A, we took what a $5 a month increase to the IRF would generate in revenue. And we figured out the footage based on that. But scenario A, we don't increase the IRF, we just take it from reserves. So the difference between what was presented and what is in scenario A is 13,270 feet compared to 16,350 feet of water line replacement. Obviously rates wouldn't increase because we're using reserves. And in the budget presented, we'd add a small amount, 41,860 to reserves. Scenario A would take 1,110,077 from reserves, so it'd drop it down to 34 million. So for 35 that we're projected to be at. Scenario B would be increasing the IRF. And same linear footage, bills would increase. Instead of a 4.2 increase to winter, it'd be 10. And 3.28 to the summer, it would be 6.31. And we would have a reserve balance of 35,139,000.
What's that, a percentage increase? You said from 4 to 10?
From 4% to 10 on winter. And from 3.28 to 6.31 in summer. And you should have that. Did I?
Yeah, you got it, yeah.
Okay,
So if I recall, we originally were shooting for $20 a month, the IRF. We cut that in half.
Right.
I like the idea of not dipping into reserves.
Okay,
And $5 might be a compromise relative to what we originally had discussed, I guess, a year ago. Just thinking out loud.
one thing to note is. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are engineering for the 16,000, right?
Yeah,
So if bids come in low, we can potentially add on, do change orders. On the next year projects. That's.
Engineering for 2026 projects started in June. Preliminary, engineering for those projects. So
And
we're
we're doing that full 16,000.
we're engineering the full 16,000 if there's no, if the draft budget as presented is approved, those, designed projects would move, design projects that we don't have capital for would be pushed to the following year.
Or if we have room, we can do it. Cause they're already designed.
Exactly.
So 16,000 puts us roughly at 3% 30-year project. 16,000 linear feet. Do I understand that correctly?
Puts us at what?
At about 3% replacement rate, roughly 30 years,
That puts us at about 2%.
2%.
At 2%.
So well over 30 years, but it's all speculation anyway. We don't know what's going to fail.
Yeah, so if you scroll down, I think I had those at the bottom. Last page. Yeah, 1.9% of total line, 4.75 of end of life replacement.
And it, you know, I always hate comparing what the Joneses are doing, but how does that fit in with neighboring districts? They're shooting at 2% or they don't even do it.
In my discussions, we're doing quite a bit more work on an annual basis.
I appreciate, not that it matters a whole lot, but it gives me a sense.
Industry standards seems to gear towards pushing up to 1%. There are a lot of districts that are not able to get a budget approved with that and are functioning well under 1% replacement.
and that's where we have been, and that's why we need to catch up a little bit, I think. So that's where I was going, that we haven't been doing that, we need to be doing more and get ourselves on schedule so that we can relax to the 1% when we're someplace good. So I too was anticipating raising the IRF so that we can meet that target and then kind of coast when we,
Yeah, I thought we were easing into it.
yes.
If we went up $5 a month and combined that with the increase in Denver water, I don't remember what that was, 3% or something. What would the typical residential bill go up? Just roughly.
It would be 10% on the winter bill and 6%, 6.3% on the summer bill.
And in rough dollars.
That's
for
average, so
An average home, what would that be then?
that's 9,000 gallons in the winter for a 2-month bill. And 30,000 gallons on summer bill, which is, to be honest, that number's pretty skewed. So we have a lot of people that use a lot of water. And then we have a lot of people that don't water their lawn.
But on an average, just in dollars, what would it cost a family? If we went with,
Well, this is an additional $5 a
yeah.
month for that fee.
So on the
but
rates
I'm
that was
asking with the
presented,
3% increase.
sure.
I know what 3% is, but I don't know how it equates to a residence.
So on the budget that was presented without that $5, it's $7.25 per billing, so that'd be $12.25. And summer, $10.82, so it'd be $15.82. Well,
It's about $30.
no, I apologize. If we're doing $5 per month, get that at $10.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, $17 increase versus $7, $20 versus 10 would be the increase.
What do you think?
Well, I'm thinking that the dollar is evaporating as we speak. But I don't like the idea of charging, our ratepayers more. I wanna save them as much money as possible, so quite frankly, I'm torn.
And I can understand that. Where I come from, it's also a matter of we do it now or you end up paying the more in the bond fees later.
Right, yeah, there is that. One of those road bonds is,
It's an option, we just end up paying more,
yeah.
but it's not as onerous to at the beginning. So
So that's where we sit with what we presented as 1.5% and 3.8 of replacement. With what was presented.
3.8 of
Replacement,
what's needs to go.
the 1.5 total. Of what was presented without raising the rate or. Dipping into reserves.
So I think our customers would understand that we have no control over the fee for water from Denver.
right,
And we've done really well by cutting our initial proposal in half. I would lean towards the $5 and maintain our reserve where it's at and get at least 16,000 linear feet is what I'm feeling.
I like that, but can you go back, scroll up to those different scenarios, because I guess where I'm coming from is I agree with that statement. I'd like to get it and then, get to where we need to be and then stop doing the increases, or just have a little bit of, a year to keep up with inflation. So I would agree with that and get the 16,000 feet done. What I'm looking at though, so that's where I stand, I agree, for my base. But my next question is, there's no difference in the amount of infrastructure being replaced between scenario A and B. This is just whether how to pay for it or how the reserves, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm not. Would it be possible? At this point, I wouldn't mind using those reserves that if we had extra from the 2025 spending, I'm also not opposed to doing that. So can we do another project? Or can you see what that would look like if we could evaluate whether or not you have the time? I'm sure I have confidence you can overcome whatever problems you need to get that done. If we've got the extra money, I would like to use that from last year so that we're not just over collecting for no reason.
Yeah.
That was the goal, was to get it all done.
That's what
Scenario A.
reflects, doesn't it?
Yeah, scenario A is that exact thing.
So I'm asking for scenario A and B. Can you do the $5 a month? And an additional reserve money and do more than the 16,000?
That's a lot.
So, yeah, along what she's saying is, we got $5 million extra from 2025, right?
No, yes, well,
And that's
Overall.
that's reflected in this balance, this reserve balance.
overall, yes.
Right, that's what I thought I heard earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I think what she's saying, and correct if I'm wrong, is that since we got that, it was something we didn't expect. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can we take that money and leverage it to also do the 16,000 and more with it?
That is.
I'd have to talk with our engineers.
Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking. So can we look at that for next time and see what we can do there?
So you're-
Because,
Kind of saying like instead of 16,000, 20,000.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
She's trying to get ahead of the curve.
I'm trying to get ahead of the curve a little bit while we've got the money, and then that would be setting for the money, and then, in my opinion, I think that would be setting our fees and we'd be fine, and then we can go from that basis. And whatever money we have, we can be spending as we go. Maybe that would be better, but that sounds like if we can figure out how to do it, that would catch us up to where we need to be, more in line of the schedule that I anticipated, just to be caught up.
I guess my only thought, and like Josh said, we don't know what bids are gonna come in at, they could
Right.
be very competitive or
Or not.
we get two, so. If it comes in next year at 48% again. What do we do with that fee? Yes, that's my question. Do we? Leave it as is or reduce it or?
I would rather just leave it as is and then, maybe you can do an every other year increase or something for inflation, but I would rather get that set and see where it is, unless, if we can figure out how to overcome this get it done problem. I mean, that's the
Right.
engineering part.
Yeah.
So
Right. See how much.
I'm trying to solve the financial part now.
I'll talk with our G, because we're getting to a really good place with the design right now. Like
Okay.
Pam said, we started back in June, so we anticipate awarding bids in March for 26.
That is
So
wonderful.
they'll be able to hit the ground running as early as April, which is huge,
Okay,
which will free them up potentially to do some design work for,
go ladder.
from like January to maybe March, and having that third bid for this additional work, which,
I would be interested in the answers. If not, I think Roger's my fallback position.
But 16,000 feet sounds aggressive compared to the neighbors. And it sounds like it will be somewhat expensive regardless of where the bidding comes in, if we wanted to extend it to 20,000 feet. And since it's all speculative, I would push to stay at 16,000 feet.
How much did we do this year? On water line?
I don't have to figure out the top of my head.
Yeah, so-
One of the issues is, bidding can swing those costs so dramatically. For example, 2 years ago, all in, we ended up spending about 550 per linear foot. It was,
We had. 2 bids, 3 bids on that concrete works project?
our projected amount, that we budget around is around 400. This year, our projects came in about 275. Those projects aren't finished yet. We're gonna have change orders on those projects, but that's a substantial swing during that planning phase.
Right, and this, on our draft, I think we did 370. Just kind of went in the middle ground.
So it went down. What I'm hearing.
Yeah, we were, I mean, I feel like the 2024 project was hit pretty hard with inflation. That's why it jumped so high, because it was not that high the prior year.
And design,
Somehow it's trying to correct it.
design started late, design
Yeah.
started beginning of the year, so we
Yeah.
didn't get it out to bid.
Well, and all those
Here.
considerations in the bid, I mean, we're just budgeting for it. We don't know what is gonna go on. So if it comes in too much, then we just don't do that much.
Yeah.
That's okay by me.
yeah, and the idea also is to have stacked, already designed work, so that for scenarios like that, we're ready.
Okay. Well, I'm interested in those answers if nobody else is, because I would like to do those reserves, and I think we were planning for that $5 a month increase, so I think those are both good things to do if we can handle it. Does anybody else have, and you're saying you would be comfortable with scenario B by itself? Anybody else want to throw out there where their comfort is, just for, we'll bring it up again in November,
I mean, what's trying not to push any more on our customers, but since what I consider, it's kind of $4 million or so dollars that we weren't really expecting to play. Lack of a better term, I like seeing what we can do to maybe use that money for.
Okay.
So
Well, you're saying,
Hey.
I'm sorry, we're talking two different things now. Because
Yes.
what I'm hearing you say is you don't want to do the $5
I'm
a
leaning
month
towards
increase.
not, but I'd also like to see what your scenario would be to take that $4 million and see what we can get out of that and then, but I'm not gonna revert to the 5, which is, I hate putting like that,
No,
on the back.
scenario A, if you see, that's the reserve money without the
I
five.
saw that.
Okay,
Yeah, so you're talking about like.
But I'm looking at here at projected balance of 34 million.
right,
You're taking service, you're taking $1 million out of that
right,
to keep it at zero, IRF
okay.
versus not touching that, which you saying, let's look at touching that 4 million. So you're talking about $3 million or so difference between there. I'd like to see what we can do with that money. And then weigh out those different scenarios. Because right now, if I were to say, well, for $1 million of like a little bit of a windfall here that we weren't expecting to have, I would be leaning towards scenario.
That is, to be clear, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying scenario B, and if we.
You like scenario B.
Yes, and if we can be there and you're at,
I'm at A right now, and that's what I'm seeing here, but we're looking to augment this with some different things of what we can do with the $4 million.
you would draw down reserves more for scenario C, like Doug said. Okay. Phil, do you have any thoughts to share?
No,
Okay,
one more note, the $5 would put us at 75% of our original proposal year.
yeah, right,
So we're still not going the full way,
right.
full amount. You know, nobody wants a rate increase.
But that happens every year, so.
But that's,
And like you said earlier, you can't, fault us for whatever Denver does. Okay, but what we have control over is the 5.
Director Wickman, are you awake?
Yeah, and of course, it's kind of hard to follow this, but it's not visual, I'm just auditory. So the only input that I would throw in there is right now, we're in a relatively high interest environment. And so therefore, if we can hold on to more money, then we're gonna be generating more interest income, which is a kind of a unique window right now. And so, and of course, that's not the whole picture, but just that element alone would say, well, if you got some extra money, let's sit on it for a while and let's get some interest on that. That was my only thought I would throw in at this point.
Okay, I am interpreting your comments to mean, from what I can see on screen, if you have checked your email, to be scenario B, which would be to increase, not to use the reserves, but to increase the IRF as we had originally planned. Okay, well, we will make those decisions, but that's some next, we have to make that next month. If we can have those additional answers on what else we can handle on the engineering side, if we can, for myself.
So for, just to be clear, just
And
keep the draft and do scenario B as the next presentation? Or are we just changing the draft to scenario B?
I guess I don't know that we have made that final decision.
So
But
present both,
it is still.
keep it as is.
What do? I guess we could, what can we do? We can vote on scenario B as a replacement to the draft.
I don't think you have to vote on anything, or
Or-
it's just presentation of.
Right.
Yeah,
This is the-
well, if we have consensus on where we want to be.
Okay, well, I mean, or you can keep it, I could just eliminate scenario A, doesn't sound like that's an option anymore,
No, I'm leaning that towards scenario. I want to see what.
so you wanna see A?
Yeah, and along the lines with what.
We'll just present as
It says,
same thing and update you guys with engineering numbers, that sounds great.
we're not a profit organization, we're a nonprofit organization. And from my point of view, in support of scenario A, I live here in the district, bill goes up. And I would think from the layman's, just a general user's point of view, from looking at when my bill went up, if they knew this, that there was $4 million that we weren't it wasn't in the budget, but we got an extra $4 million. And then you took that $4 million, which we had discretionary capability over. And you increased my bill for it. To keep that money so you could just invest it into a bond or something, or a stock or whatever, to get interest. I'd be a little pissed off about it, that that's on my back. That's my hide you're using that money for. So since we got the money, I would hope the board would take time, like we discussed a little minute ago, to see what we could, the best usage of that money is. What other options could we do to increase the linear foot replacement? I think we have to do some exploratory work. But if you're just gonna arbitrarily say, okay, well, I know when we voted for the 20, we said 10, and you said 75% of what we're gonna do, $5. We'd be a little mad if they knew what we knew. And we voted for it.
Well, all the money will be used for district purposes.
So I
that'll be.
don't want scenario A to go away. I wanna see what are the options to utilize that. Now, if that money wasn't there, and we were looking at this, we probably only have the one scenario to work with.
So. I'm thinking that there's also then the scenario C that will be the extra work. Is that what you're thinking?
So leave the A and B as is, and C will be,
Well, we could just adjust B based on engineering conversation.
well, it sounds like Art wants to do A as well, like get more work done, take more from reserves.
There is a component between Art and I. He likes A with additional work. I like B with additional work from reserves. Both of those components have additional work that
Depends on engineering numbers.
depends on the engineering numbers.
And
So if we can make that work and get it done.
so then we'll change A and B to those scenarios. More work.
Could change A to an increased level from reserves. That's what Art is asking for.
Well, I
We're
just
using
wanna
more
see
reserves.
how much, it'd be an A1 and A2, I mean, I don't wanna lose sight of A as it says. Because I like the $1 million.
Yeah,
Taking
we're all asking.
$1 million to out of a fund, out of some money that I think was just kind of like, okay, we got something that we didn't expect to get.
Yeah.
And if I was with the group of people over here earlier and I said, okay, look, would you support us using money we weren't expecting to have at the end of the budget term? To
Okay.
do work to infrastructure, to probably say, okay, great way of utilizing the money. Or would you rather have your bill increase?
Okay.
And let's take that money and put it into we're gonna put it into for a nonprofit organization into a bond.
Director, Maloney, thank you. We have heard that statement before, so I'm gonna move on.
So I'm just clearing up
Yeah, for
yours,
me,
$5 a month increase, but increased footage, which would still pull from reserves.
which would still pull from concern.
Once we get
So
the
it's an
engineering
A-B
number.
combination.
Okay,
We
so I'll
still
do
need
it
to-
A1. A1, B1.
Yeah.
And leave B because that's where
Semantics.
Roger's at.
And yeah, so I'll have
More.
draft A1, B1. Okay.
You can call it A-B because you can call it whatever you want. Pain in the butt number one. Thank you. Okay. If that is not enough. I would still like to see, can I say a scenario B, new draft? So this will be a D, completely different. Because I wanted to see something without the tiers.
So we do
Or
have a
with
number
more
without
flat.
tiers.
Okay. Oh,
So-
did I miss that?
It wasn't presented, but we had it prepared. I
Okay,
calculated it, so it. All customer levels, revenue classes would
Yes.
be one rate,
yes,
that's what I calculated,
okay,
so it's $7.50 per 1,000 gallons. Sam, if you could pull up the budget. If you wanna go to the, So right now. 2025 rates for bottom tier residential is $6.97. So that would make it $7.50. Right now, commercial is paying $7.80. Flat. Multifamily does the same as residential. So if you went with a flat rate across all revenue classes. Commercial is gonna go down 30 cents. Residential is gonna go up 53 cents. So that's straight up taking. Total projected consumption,
Okay, I'm sorry, say it again. I had in my head, I'm thinking the residential tiers. And you were doing all of the different classes.
okay, so residential tier 1 is what I was going off of, so we'd go to $7.50. Tier
Tier
1 is $6.97, so that's a 53-cent increase.
Okay,
Commercial is based off our residential tier 2, which is $7.80. So they
okay.
have a 30-cent decrease per thousand.
Commercial or, okay, commercial does because tier 2 does, residential.
Correct,
Okay,
and that, yeah, multifamily follows residential tiers.
okay,
Fed Center would be the only anomaly, but they have that surcharge that was voted in
and then,
2010.
and I'm sorry, 750, so tier 3 would go down $1 and some. To
Yeah.
750,
Yeah, if we just did one flat rate, no tiers.
yeah,
So it's quite an increase to our lower users, it's a decrease to our commercial users. But
and
that would be the rate,
a even bigger, 3 times, twice, is it double? It's just double the increase, double the decrease on tier 3 than the increase on tier 1.
right? Yes, $7.50 from $8.72, that's $1.22. Decrease. For the third tier, but if you scroll up, Sam. You can see the percentages of what is used in each of those tiers. Tier 3 is only 2.448% used in tier 3. Tier 2, 27%, tier 1 residential is what I'm talking about, 69.7. And commercial is not. Well. Not that significant of a user. Irrigation. Adds a little bit, but. Yeah, so the user that would get affected is residential. However, like I said earlier. 30,000 gallons in the summer is our average, but that's total users versus total usage. It doesn't pertain to each. User, you have a person that puts 100,000 gallons in their lawn. And you have a user that does 5,000 in the summer, so there's that disparity, but those are the percentage of use, and residential is definitely the highest.
What percentage of our users are tier 1 versus tier 2 versus tier 3?
Got it right there, so in the winter time, 97%.
Not in usage in terms of population.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, we don't do demographics, so I don't know how many users are in one house versus the other.
So you're asking for the 3/4 inch, like, single family home connection versus the.
Yeah, it's tier 1 single family home, right?
Tier 1, 2, and 3 under residential are
All single.
all single family homes, just based on their consumption.
On their what?
On their consumption.
On their consumption. So consumption is what's the differentiation between tier 1 and tier 2?
Yeah, so tier 1 is 0 to 16,000 for 2 months. 17 to 50 is tier 2. 51 plus is tier 3.
And the rationale for that breakout is what?
It was based off of what Denver Water did years ago. We kind of stuck with it. Didn't see any reason change, has been working well, and
And with the flat, they're relatively.
yeah,
I guess
as what percentages read, it's
having a failure to understand why,
not crazy.
Why it's broken out like that and how you get that.
the original thinking was to discourage yards. They don't want you watering your yards, so that was to encourage conservation. So that you don't have a yard. So that's why it was broken out into tiers. So that's why I am interested. I think at this point, we have encouraged all of our users to conserve as much as they can. I think that program has been in place for a number of years, and at this point, we are just torturing people who still want to have a yard. So I would be, I can live with those numbers as presented if they are to raise the tier 1 50 cents a gallon and lower tier 3 $1 a gallon and have everything out. And it's also, I can live with the commercial in tier 2 being saying that is how it would be going off of. So I think I don't know. Anybody else
It
have
must
thoughts?
be working for conservation, because look at the percentages. Tier 2 is what, 3%? Tier 3 is 1% or over.
Yeah,
A
that's,
0.1%.
that's winter use, so go over a couple columns, that's the summer use. 69, 27, 2.
Oh, my mistake, yeah, well,
Yeah.
tier 2 is significant, tier 3 isn't, so people must be aware.
They have done. I do believe, and Doug does adjust those numbers accordingly all the
Absolutely.
time
3-year average.
to make sure he's capturing.
So you would like to eliminate the tier system
I
eventually?
would like to eliminate the tier system.
That's what I'm thinking, well, like, get rid of it. I don't see the advantage of it.
Yeah,
Well, conservation was the goal, but
Yeah, but that's.
I think we have met that goal. Like you said, I think we have met that.
That's why I asked, who's who?
Right.
well, is that something we should consider then for November, in addition to these changes? Eliminating the tiers.
Yes. Thank you. So is that would be a separate draft?
Yep.
Can we, is there any agreement? How's everybody feeling about that? How do you feel about that?
I've been talking to you about that for a long time.
Okay, so you would. Roger, I don't have a sense of what do you think? Would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm kind of neutral on it.
Okay,
I think I would lean towards eliminating the tiers.
do you want, would that be okay to eliminate for the next time, or do you want to maintain the tiers for another budget presentation?
Oh, no, let's consider it next time.
Okay, Director Wickman, do you have a thought? To keep tiers or not?
And, well, anything where the idea is if you use more, you pay more. And that philosophy, I think, should be retained. And so with that in mind, kind of at the bottom level of everybody just using their basic, flushing the toilets and stuff like that should be the low level. But the people that want to have huge lawns and stuff like that, they should be paying more proportionally. So I think it encourages conservation. So I'm inclined to keep some sort of progressivity in the rate structure.
Dave Wickman, the progressive, okay. I just need to point out that based on how much you will be paying more for using more, it's all volumetric.
Right.
So this is paying more by volume and also paying more by rate, because you will be, so you're double charged for volume using the tier system. So that's why I just like a flat rate, and you pay more for if you use more by volume. Everybody pays by volume, and that's fair to me.
You pay for what you use.
Pay for what you use. Okay,
So is that going to be just a flat rate across all revenue classes? As far as residential? and commercial?
just looking at residential right now.
Right.
You say the commercial is tied to the residential irrigation, I think
Yeah,
that,
to come up with that $7.50 number, I just took total consumption, so I didn't
Okay.
separate out classes.
okay. That
I
would be,
can
okay.
and get a different number, so what about so irrigation is commercial as well.
Okay,
Do I do a flat rate for that?
I would say not at this time.
yeah,
So just residential flat rate, see
Yeah,
where we can hit our revenue requirement.
we can consider irrigation commercial later,
yeah, let's do
just to
one at
get
a
our,
time.
dipping our toes into it.
Okay,
And then leave commercial as is. Is that what I'm hearing?
what do you mean as is? Do you mean the commercial has got one solid rate that is tied to tier 2, or do you mean?
Yes.
Do you still mean tied, or do you mean the rate that you've got in there?
Either or, so
Okay.
do you want it to stay the same as 2025, or do you want it to be the 2026 number, and then I adjust residential accordingly?
I would say keep the 2026 number and adjust the residential accordingly.
Okay, so from irrigation 1 down, they stay the same, I just need to fix residential to 1 flat rate.
Yes,
So in my mind's eye, in a way, this ties in tier 2, which is about a third or just under a third during the summer. Will probably realize a slight savings.
I'm sorry, did you say tier 3 will
Tier
realize?
2,
Tier 2 will
tier
realize,
2, well, tier 3 as well, but it's
Tier
just a
two,
small
tier
percent.
two, yeah.
So they're gonna realize a slight savings. Regardless whether rates go up or not, whether Denver charges more, or we do the $5. So I'm
Okay.
comfortable with that.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
proposing. Do you have hesitancy?
I don't know, I have to give it some more thought.
Okay,
But I like the idea of eliminating the tiers.
okay,
But by doing that, that would empower me to be more inclined to go with the $5 increase.
okay. All right, well, we've got that on
Yeah.
B1, whatever you want, so we'll have that, and I agree with you, I'm at that too. And, okay. All right, so we have a new base draft with no tiers and 3 new scenarios based off,
So that would be the base draft,
this would be the base draft,
okay,
no tiers.
and then build the scenarios off of that as well. Okay,
And get some sleep in the meantime.
I will be fine. Okay,
Thank you for having those numbers, I totally missed it, I did not think that was,
no, that was
that's
just
great.
in my head.
You were prepared. All right, well, thank you. I do like that. I've been
It's
thinking
gonna
about that
change,
for a little while.
just so you know,
Okay, well, let's see.
it's probably gonna be less. I'm
Okay.
not going across the board,
Okay,
probably. I don't know, I thought. When I heard you wanted to hear that, I thought it was gonna be a big number, it wasn't that crazy, so.
okay. Okay,
I'll plug it in, we'll see what happens.
okay. Well, and we will take any suggestions you see that we need to fix things
Okay,
for next time.
So are we going to address some of the compensation issues that came up?
Such as,
Is it, I don't have it in front of me, it was 3.4% across the board for the employees, and I had mentioned during the financial report, some of the various levels of insurance that were available to the employees. If we're interested in some cost saving measures, we might want to look more closely at some of that.
are you talking about like the vision thing that we
Yeah,
asked you to bring a
some of
proposal,
those
and you
things.
said you were going to bring in a proposal for?
Oh, I didn't know I was bringing in a proposal specifically for that, but I
I
could do that.
guess that's what I was thinking.
Okay,
You
I
were,
can
you were
do
going
that.
to bring in something to show what you suggest to do for healthcare, and you were going to be, or whatever.
That was one of, yeah, okay, I'll do
Did I misunderstand? Okay,
I think you did, but I can do that as well.
okay.
Just keep in mind, at least on the vision aspect, that's 100% employee.
I said vision, and that's not what you were meaning.
I meant overall on compensation.
Okay, so what do you think we should be doing now that I missed?
Well, we've got don't have it right in front of you, it's a 3.4% across the board
Right,
increase for the employees.
okay,
We didn't come up with that on the board, staff came up with that, it's a proposal.
okay, yes. Did you wanna talk about that? I was.
In November, yes,
Okay,
we could talk about it now.
I would like to talk about it now if you have concerns. What did you?
Well, my concerns are if we're trying to save money for our customers.
Yeah.
There are a lot of areas to look at, not just employee compensation,
Okay,
some of the things we're talking about here and other expenses.
okay,
So is it something we want to consider looking at and possibly reducing?
okay. For myself, I do not. Because that was the extensive process that we went through this spring,
Right.
summer. And I believe they went through and set it based off those guidelines and using the established whatever, so that we didn't have to go through the conversation again
Okay.
in the budget. So I am comfortable with the fact that we set guidelines and that those were followed, and that's how these numbers were developed.
They're tailored to the resolution that was passed.
So I was concerned, because I guess I thought we had immediately implemented an across the board adjustment before, and now we are doing another one, but. If that is not what we're doing, now we're just set for the yearly advance, I think that was the point.
Okay,
So I think if we wanted to have more detailed discussion, we can look at the guidelines and the resolution and however it was, and we have to dig back into that.
I see where you're coming from on this. I'd be willing to, yeah, we can ignore this at this time. Move
Okay.
on, stick with it.
Okay. Does anybody else have concerns or questions on the employee side? Okay. All right. How about any other budget questions, scenarios? Do we want to go to Z? No, I see nothing. Director Wickman, do you have anything else to add to the budget conversation?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so we have given you a lot of homework. Thank you for all of this and answering all of these questions and having things in your head and being prepared as usual. All right, you're free to run away.
All right.
Thank you. All right, we are finally ready for a district manager report.
Both the.
Did you get something to eat? Yeah. Good. Hey, like lunch. Did you? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, no rain breaks for September. Just overall ongoing routine maintenance, valve replacements, hydrant replacements. Guys are up and turn valves every day, exercising, fire hydrants. Flushing, doing our. Tank inspections, we do those about every 4 months, we go out to the tank sites, inspect all of the venting pipes, make sure there's. No breaches, anything like that. We did have another conversation with Lakewood, and based on our April conversation, we were going to. Figure out the design. And hopefully get our permit, work out the demolition part as well as the. Other components to the intergovernmental agreement. But the last meeting we had, they're very adamant that those pieces get worked out prior to being issued a permit. So we're at a position right now where we're not gonna get a permit unless the IGA is worked out between Green Mountain and Lakewood.
Okay. That is disappointing to hear. It's not a surprise, but it's still a disappointment. And that is kind of where we thought we had been at a couple points in time, but now it is official. And I'm sorry, did you say that was in writing that
Yes.
Okay. And do we have our legal team looped in?
Yep.
Yes.
I got
Okay.
copied on the response from Lakewood and the correspondence. So I think.
A little more detail. The key components are our strategy for removing the existing sewer line, which we've already laid out in the design. They're gonna be abandoned in place with the structure coming out. However, that was to be worked out later. The assignment of responsibility and cost sharing for the removal, assurances that the district will vacate our existing easement, so where the current crossing is, that easement will go away. and will be issued a new easement for the new crossing. And then compensation terms for the new easement, so Lakewood's not sure on what their compensation will be for those new easements.
They would like us to pay for these. Okay,
It typically, from my experience with those, it's usually a very low dollar amount, but I don't know what it would be in this case.
well, and that's a new consideration they're throwing at us. So once again, I have to say, that's why we have the lawyers involved, because that was not, I don't think that was ever brought up before, compensation for the easements.
I don't believe so either.
Another curveball by Lakewood. Okay, thank you.
Next one. The proposed hotel, 12476 West Bay Ave, which we've had a few conversations about. The technical memo has been provided to the developer. There are a couple segments of pipe that do need addressing. More than likely. Well, they're basically saying they're willing to just get it fixed. So it's gonna come down to how we approach that. Do we have the work done before we issue a tap permit to them? And in my experience, again, they're permitting through Lakewood. And actually doing the physical construction of the hotel is gonna take considerable amount of time, so. I would say the best plan or approach for that would be to have the work done prior to them being issued connection.
Absolutely.
And they were 100% on board with doing whatever it needs to address the issue.
Okay,
Just reiterating here that we sent an email out to the developers that want to connect into the Kentucky line for that cost sharing agreement that's developing. Obviously EJ that was here earlier was very interested in that, and we had one other developer that was wanting to have a conversation about it as well, so.
He's from the corner on Alkire there.
Yes, 1070 South Alkire, he's gonna come in on Thursday now, and we'll have more in-depth conversation about it.
you might try reaching out to the other ones by phone and
Yeah,
following up,
I can do that.
because that was seemed anomalous.
And as far as the infrastructure replacement projects, those are all still proceeding on a on schedule basis and on budget scenario at this time. Those projects, group one is should be wrapping up here in the next month, and group two should be done by the end of November.
Excellent, that is good news, thank you.
And that was with a June to July start
Yeah.
time for these guys, and in 26, it's projected for them to start in as early as April, so we're gaining several months of time. Which will help with the additional pipe we were
Do
looking
more
at
stuff.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Short and sweet for this month. But that's all I have. Is there any questions on that?
No, excellent work, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay. All for
That's
you?
it. Yep.
Very
that's
good,
for me.
make sure. Okay. Rector's matters. The water rights attorney. I did call. I would like to make a separate recommendation to hire a Mr. Kent Holsinger, who has specialty is also a water rights specialist. I did call, turns out even one of them was Lakewoods and attorney, which I didn't think was gonna go over very well, so not a direct conflict, but I ended up and I just can't bring myself to do so I ended up going outside, so I'd like to hire this other firm to answer this question. And again, that would be to look at my existing question about how water rights are supposed to be working for our extraterritorial service. Since we're not supposed to work west of here. And I just wanted a confirmation, but how that interacts with the Colorado compact and things like that. What do y'all think? Am I following you?
I am not following. You wouldn't mind explaining or expanding on that?
Okay,
So water rights is the Colorado Compact out west.
we are supposed to be the westernmost service. According to the Colorado Water Compact, that's where that's our boundary, we're not supposed to serve Denver water past there.
Right.
So we do not. So all of our other agreements with Fossil Ridge and Big Sky and whatnot, they go through consolidated for water and then we pick up the sewer. And I don't understand how that works so that we are not violating something, because it seems like at least a violation of the spirit of the compact
Because
Yes,
the
because
sewer
of
is,
sewage.
yes,
I don't know enough about it, but on the surface, that doesn't seem to be the case. I don't see a conflict, but
it could
I'm
be.
not versed in this.
I have questions about it, so that's what I just kind of want somebody else with knowledge to look at, and there could be an easy answer. So I've got, and you know, that's gonna go along with legal advice, so I probably already explained, but too much, but that's the gist of where I'm looking at is. Can I get those questions answered by somebody who is there a simple method or more? Did you have something to say? You were just,
No.
okay,
Not my purview.
and you have
Well,
so,
somebody that you want to add to this list that you think is somebody with in a better position to answer those questions?
yes, so would you? I can send you his name. If you did some research on those before, you wanna do research him?
Yeah, I mean, I did a look into everybody and had somebody that I had marked in as who I'd like to, but yeah, if you want to add somebody, sure, let's take a look at
And
it.
I can't remember, who did you like?
The first person there,
Wambacher,
Ian Wallmacher.
yeah,
Wallbacker,
and he is,
Wallbacker.
and he is very good. We have run into him on other Green Mountain business. So
Yeah, that's fine.
that's
yeah, I'm
why,
willing to move forward on that.
okay, well. It is not an emergency. If you would like, I will send you his website. I can send everybody his website. I just got confirmation that he does not have, I had to follow up with the conflicts on Friday.
He didn't send you a engagement letter yet, did he?
He didn't. So I can ask for that. We can consider that. We can do research and we can consider it for next month.
Sure, that's
Okay.
fine.
All right. And next, the discussion on the development review process that is Josh somebody handed around the beginning of the meeting. Here, do you want to
Yeah.
explain that?
So basically, in our development review process, the language that we have in there is a little bit undefined, it's not as clear and concise as we would like it to be. Currently, it's talking about up to a 50% cost split between the district and potential development, for any remaining useful life of. That's a very subjective. So there's a lot of different ideas and thoughts on what useful life is. So we are just going to streamline that section of the development review process to change it to say basically all improvements must comply with Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District's rules and regulations, engineering standards, and development review process. So not a huge change, but definitely needs board action for that.
And
I, did, I will make a motion to approve this change. As written in the new language. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Director Wendell, and discussion on it, any questions?
Seems reasonably prudent.
Okay, then all in favor, hands, I see 4 hands here, Director Whitman.
Think things through rather than voting on something that just coming up tonight. So, I don't feel prepared to vote for this, so I'll vote no.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And then finally, on the director's matters, we have consideration of adding a pledge of allegiance to the beginning of the meeting. Would you like to make a pitch or a motion?
You know, I'm older, so it's something I remember from the past in public meetings, schools and those kinds of things. It seems like it'd be something appropriate for a government body to undertake, and it's my understanding. That the school board does it, again, I'm comparing us to the Joneses. I've not been to a city council meeting in quite a while, I apologize. I'm not sure if they do it there or not, but it seems to be a trend as of late.
To add it?
I don't like it. I think you're trying to impose a political view, your own personal political view / process. And I don't like somebody dictating to me what I should do and should do in terms of my personal, religious, or any beliefs. And so I'm extremely against it. This whole process, my personal beliefs are my own, and I don't think I need to express them in public in front of anybody. So and you brought it up, and I think it's a political issue and a personal issue on your part, and I don't think we need to follow suit by any organization.
Do you have a motion?
I'm not sure if I should move forward with this or not.
I would support it. I think we live in the country and that's standard support for the country. That would be it. So I would be.
I mean, Art brings up a couple of good points, but country does seem to be rather divided, and these kinds of things I think are unifying to me.
I don't think it's necessarily, it may be, you may think it's unifying. I think it's just the exact opposite. It just, I mean, I don't agree with the current administration. I don't have a problem saying that in public, but to force me to present a point of view in public is just against my personal beliefs.
You do bring up a good point. I don't think you'd be forced. I think it'd be voluntary.
Well, this entity is recorded. So
you don't have to participate.
Yes, but it is recorded, and people in this organization would have a tendency to bring that to light and may point it out and use it against me as being anti-American type of stuff, and then you're getting political again. And so that's the point right there. So why would you put me in a position to where I have to make a determination how to best present myself, particularly in this organization that is recorded, and anybody within this district can view. Now that's putting me in an unfavorable position to make a decision. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm born and raised an American. I'm a 5th generation Colorado native, firmly believe in America. I did not serve, came close. It was 1A to be drafted in Vietnam, was ready to go. But fortunately I didn't have to go. But I do have family members that did serve, and I do, I believe in America wholeheartedly. That's why I've been on political, I've done political things for for things I believe. But I don't wanna be put in this position where I have to, you know, put myself out there. I don't like being put in that position. I think it's wrong. And I would not put that on anybody. In
Okay.
particular, since the fact that we record this.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any thoughts, Director Hardinger?
No, I was just in favor of it, just as most all the meetings I've been to, city council as well, you always use it. And I just went to Philadelphia and sat around at Independence Hall for a while. It just seemed to hurt some more, went to Betsy Ross' house and stuff like that, so
So generally,
I'm
You would-
in favor.
okay,
Doing, it is kind of annoying that somebody brings it up, because I know I have to vote for it.
that's true too.
Cause just the way I am, is just my character, oh, you wanna do the pledge, allegiance? Yeah. But, you know, they bring up doing prayer before you eat too, so, okay.
Where does it stop? Where do we just let people be people and not have to, you know,
I'd still
follow suit?
to go around the table here. Director, not that there's a motion, but I guess we're gathering first impressions.
I'm
Director,
prepared to
oh,
make a motion, but
okay.
Director Whiteman. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I do have some input on this. My first instinct is the standard, first time I'm hearing about it, I don't want to be shooting from the hip. You know, I prefer to think about it and get back to it later. That being said, then I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, those of you who know me, I'm very patriotic and, you know, serve my country. And, you know, I say the pledge of allegiance with fervor and stuff like that, so I'm all in favor of that. But on the other hand, I don't think that has anything to do with the water district. And, you know, like that's outside of the purview of our business. And the fact that I'm a patriot doesn't have anything to do with my service on the water district. So with that in mind, I'm inclined to say if it's not relevant, well, why do it? So I'm still, you know, super patriot, but I'd probably be voting against this concept, and it certainly is something that should be thought upon rather than shooting from the hip.
Well, let's do this. Let's table it until November. And I'll make a motion then and we can vote on it. And give everybody plenty of time to think about it. I do, you know, I do note that we do have the American flag in here. I don't think that's required either. And as Phil was saying, they're saying the pledge in plenty of other places, so I'm more in favor of it now than I was when I proposed it earlier. But I understand everybody's concerns. Let's give it a month and I'll bring it up again. We'll make it an agenda item. Note taker, thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Do we have any general legal matters to discuss?
Yes. Just one. The lobbyist provided an update last month on the dominant eminent domain issue that was primarily between Denver Water and another special district.
Yes,
Um,
infamous.
Dominion, yes, Dominion Water. That apparently has gone away. Apparently Denver Water is no longer interested in pursuing that, so that may or may not come before the legislature again, but that issue seems to be off the table for now. Otherwise, I don't have any other general legal.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I can add that, unless, I haven't heard anything from the board that tells me that my previous instructions with respect to Lakewood and the ravine issue have changed, so. Unless I'm mistaken, John and I will proceed.
Thank you.
Today.
Good. All right, then. We are ready for our next executive session. I will move for an executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice regarding the Timmons lawsuit. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Director Wendell, all in favor?
Aye.
I have four hands, Director Wickman,
Aye.
unanimous approval.
As the district's attorney, it's my opinion that the discussion of the matter announced in the motion to go into executive session constitutes a privileged attorney-client communication. I'm therefore requesting that the recording be ended until the executive session has been completed. The time is now 9:19 and we have resumed the recording because the attorney-client communication is finished. The executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors, district manager, myself, and my partner, John Cody, litigation counsel. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record.
None here. Okay, thank you. We do not have any legal matters resulting in action. So we will move on to new business. Does anybody but me have anything? Okay, I do, as always. I should have. But I apologize for not getting this on the calendar beforehand, but I would like to schedule a special meeting prior to the next, as soon as possible, probably. Because what we need to do is have an executive session to have an employee review for our district manager. Is it a year, almost a year? This is the time, though, that we are doing these employee raises and whatnot. So no matter what, it'd be nice to get on the schedule and get something kind of regimented so that he can get rolled into this yearly increase or not.
This is for Josh.
It is on us to decide for Josh. He is deciding for the rest of the employees, so we need to figure out what to do with him. So, to get him into the budgets, I mean, we can throw a number in there, but it would be nice to be a little bit more specific so that we're not doing a bucket. Am I making sense so far?
Right. How about next Tuesday,
Okay, next Tuesday, the 21st,
6:30?
As long as that's the only thing that's gonna be on the agenda, sure.
that's all I got right now.
Oh, I was gonna be out of country.
I will be out of town as well, but I can be available by phone if Director Wendell would run the meetings.
Sure.
Okay.
No problem.
All right,
All right, so we'll have a special meeting next Tuesday, the 21st at 6:30 PM for the express purpose of an executive session for personnel review. Fabulous. Anything else? Okay, meeting adjourned at 9:22.